On today's video, hopefully I'm in scale here because I got the GoPro sitting on an old AC box, actually from a Camaro, a second gen, not third gen. But I'm going to be showing you today how to LS swap your third gen Camaro and how to do it if you're on a budget. This one was done on a budget, and I described what I wish was done different on this car and where I should have spent money. You know the details. You clicked on the video, you got third gen, you think about an LS, or you just enjoy my content. Either way, let's jump into let's get started. First thing you want to do is decide your budget. What budget do you got? You know, if you're going all out, then you can afford a bunch of new parts. If you done got a transmission in the car, then you know that's going to save you a ton of money. This actually got a 400 turbo behind it. So I go over what we used. They videos on the channel of this car too. So if you done got the transmission, yes, you can use the factory 700R that came in these cars. It's no issue at all. You will just need to hook your TV cable up. But we had a spare turbo 400 we shoved in this. You know, you had to make some modifications to it in order to work in a third gen. But, you know, you can keep your 700R4 if you done got that transmission. You have overdrive. It'll be a whole much better daily. You know, the 700R4 is a great transmission. They can't handle a whole ton of horsepower, but with a few upgrades they can. But stock, if you're looking for just a budget driver, use your factory transmission. Just make sure you hook your TV cable up and get you a cable-driven throttle body. To adapt your 700R4 onto your 5.3 will depend on what flywheel you got. Now, if you got the flat flywheel that's on like a 6.0 and it's got the spacer, you can use that. This has actually got a 6.0 flywheel from my LS swap square body on this because it was standard shift, and you know, we just used that because it's simpler. If you use the dish flywheel that come factory on most 5.3s, you will need to most likely extend the hose on that. Should have a video somewhere on my channel. It's very easy to do, but if you want to and you're worried about messing it up, they do make flywheels with the older 700R4 and older torque converter bolt hose that goes right on. Most likely though, you will need to use a spacer between the flywheel and the torque converter because they do got a little space on them. That's totally normal, don't worry about it. And you will need a torque converter snout adapter. You know, that's something that's very cheap, like 15 bucks. I got a video on that too on the channel. You probably seen me actually install it on the back of this engine when we actually dropped it into the car. So if you got the transmission, all I'm saying is that probably for around 50 bucks you can adapt it. Maybe easy 100 bucks adapt it if you buy a flywheel and that piece, but you know, under 50 bucks if you just need the adapter. So that's already a budget. The motors you can get at Poor Parts. The motors you can get at junkyards. Just call around, tell them you're looking for a 5.3 or 4.8. This is a truck motor with the truck adapters in it. This motor was 400 bucks. Here'd it run. This motor also had tons of high mileage on it. I mean, it smokes when you first start it, but it runs good. No issues. It's a good motor. It was very cheap, very affordable. Came with everything at 400 bucks. It came with the intake, which been shaven. This is actually off the square body long wheelbase, but you know, it came with the factory intake, fuel wells. It came with the wiring harness, the computer. 400 bucks, guys. You can't beat that. Just shop around. You know, you find deals. Call your local junkyards. Call your salvage yards. Ask. You know, tell them what you hunt for. Tell me, maybe they holding on to a high mileage one they having trouble to sell. Ask them, because they're going to give you a price of the most usual motors. But tell them you're looking for one a little higher mileage for a project. So we have $400 in the motor. We have around 50 into the, you know, the adapter and stuff, 35 somewhere not, and everything. You know, that's pretty cheap. That's 450 bucks basically in this swap so far. Now the headers. We did not try stock manifolds. I don't know if stock manifolds work on these third gens or not. These headers was almost 400 bucks, but they fit great. They long tubes. And I got an unboxing video on my channel of these headers. and they fit great. No issues at all with them. I did, you know, spend some money on the headers because you want performance, and these was, you know, great headers. They came off eBay, by the way. They ain't eBay cheapos, but they, I would say, eBay premium grade headers. You know, they did ship with a few missing bolts because the box got tore open somehow, but you know, we put bolts in it. Also got an install video of those. The truck pulleys and truck water pump, that's the factory everything. The AC is removed from this. I also have an AC delete box put on this. This little hose you will need to get, and just a wraparound hose here. They make these, you can buy. It actually would be better than this one because this one's kind of kinked off, but you're going to change that in the future. We used, I think this is a Corvette radiator. Might be a aluminum 3rd gen radiator. That's a bottom hose that was cut down. Don't remember what it was to, but we got the factory top hose right there for the truck. That's a truck hose, by the way. Truck alternator, the wiring harness is off eBay. You could use your factory harness, save money though. The hose is $23, by the way, if you're looking for a new hose. Just bought one for the square body. If you got your factory radiator, you know, so pretty much we at $500 for the motor. If you got the factory, you just have to buy hoses, radiator. If you add the headers, $800. We had around $800, $850 because of the headers. If we could get factory manifolds that came with the motor on it, then you know, there you go. You basically still at like $500. Power steering lines, direct fit, actually. That's actually from the truck and the Camaro. Made it together. This is actually from the truck, bent a little bit, but worked out great. Might be from the Camaro. It's one of the two. It worked out great, by the way. As I said. Oh, the wiring harness. You can build your own wiring harness. That's fine. You can use the truck one that came with it. Save you some time. Just buy one off eBay. But personally, I would build your own. LT1swap.com. Great wiring diagram. I built a couple wiring harnesses. Very good. You can, you know, custom length it and everything. This wiring harness was like very cheap on eBay, the cheapest one I could find, and it's around, I think, $200, maybe $170. It was pretty cheap, guys. It's actually an LS1 wiring harness, which, you know, it works and it looks okay. I had to buy this adapter for the mass airflow to plug in here because the LS1 harness don't have the, it makes sense, the idle air temp wire, which is these two, is built into the mass airflow. Had to buy the adapter for that. That was like $20 some plus the wiring harness, so $1,000. Let's just call it $1,000. So we're $1,000 in this swap. Actually, this motor stalls for air because we're using this stock tune port setup here. Needs change. Highly recommend going with a cold air setup or some other kind, or hollowing these out, because this motor does crave air, because when you rev it, the intake actually tries to suck in. That it's trying to pull so much air and can't pull through these. To get this running, this actually drives, you know, use the stock drive shaft. You know, we had ours laying around. If this is with you having the stock transmission already, it was a V8 car, and you just pulled it out, doing an LS swap, you could do this for probably $1,000 if you choose it, especially if you didn't buy headers. The adapter mount is around $25 to $30. You see them on all my LS swaps. They bolt right to the factory 3rd gen thing. Now, the oil pan. Now, that's something we got to talk about, because I know you probably say you forget about, you can't run a truck oil pan. This has got a truck oil pan on it. It does. It's got a cut down and welded. You see that weld? Truck oil pan on it. I tried to link the engine install in the description below, but yeah, it's, I say $1,000 if you done got the transmission and everything. Just safely swap your car. If you do your own wiring harness, use factory manifolds, and you know, that's with fluids and everything, should get you up and running if you budget everything. Now if you buy headers and buy new plugs, This actually got factory plugs in it that came with the motor. You know, if you don't have to replace all stuff, you can see the hood here actually works with this shaved intake, and it works with the heavy duty alternator like the other. They actually are a smaller version alternator. They make 3 different alternators for trucks. We did cut the hood out here just because it hits the throttle body just a little. That's the factory truck throttle body. Other than that, you could use the regular intake. You might have to shave it a little, but you don't need a cowl hood. It will work with a factory hood. It's pretty good, guys. I'm going to tell you, if you're looking to LS swap your Camaro, your 3rd gen, it's simple. It's not as big of a job as some people make it out to be. It's not as expensive as some people makes it out to be. I mean, $1,000 to $1,200 is quite a bit, but you're getting a lot for your money. You're getting a full new running drivetrain, up-to-date fuel injection and everything. The fuel system, I know a lot of people is going to, you know, chime in on that. Well, I'm going to tell you, with a 3rd gen like this, you see a fuel injection hoses right here. A return well style. No Corvette fuel filter needed because the LS got a return and a feed from the factory right there. You just tie it into your factory fuel lines and drop you a new pump in for about 39 bucks into your tank. Fuel system ain't nothing. It's actually, you know, this was a cheap budget build. We're going to redo the intake and a few more things to it, but it does run and drive. It actually drives pretty good. It's a little low on transmission fluid, but you know, it's a project car. It's in the making. So let me know in the comment section below if you found this video helpful. I know I rambled on. Hopefully you got some information out of it, and I'll see you on future videos. Thank you for watching.